Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G with the one and only S&OOP. So what you gonna do now? Turn that shit up and let it bang.
California, so it'd be cool for the old family to come back to Canada.
I always bug all my American buddies. They're like, hey, you guys never get out. I'm like, I spend every summer up in my hometown. What do you mean?
As far as his way back home, the son, it deserves to be back in Canada. That's a true move.
Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, TKB. We are here with the Talkin Twig show. We're going to get into everything hockey, snowboarding, Stutter Central, skateboarding. We might not touch on too much snow and skate this week. We got a lot to get into with hockey. A lot of happening. We got a month away, basically, from our first hockey fantasy draft of the season. So we're going to get you dialed in. First thing on all your keepers, and then we'll get a little deeper over the week or two to come. But I want to bring up my co-host, Trav, see how he's doing, see what's going on in his world this week. Trav, brother, how you doing?
What's up, brother, man? Happy Sunday. Happy first football Sunday of the season, man. I'm excited. I'm here. And like you said, hockey's a month out. And guess what? I get to play in my first ever fantasy hockey league this year. Thanks to you, man. I'm stoked to get involved and be a part of it and learn a little bit and hopefully put my hockey knowledge to the test this year with fantasy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Obviously, been chatting with the boys. We're going to do expansion. We used to have the league at 14 teams. We went down to 12 a couple of years ago. So now excited to get it back to 14. I've been doing that league for, almost 2 decades. This will be the 17th year I've been running that hockey league. So it'll be fun to have you join us and just get into everything and get we'll be able to dial in a little better on our fantasy if we're playing in the same league and stuff. And I know we'll get into that a little later in the show, who we think are some of the best keeper picks for this year's fantasy season. Like I said, draft's coming up probably over the next couple weeks towards the end of September. Ours is literally the day before hockey starts, I think on September 3rd, and then hockey starts on the 4th. Thursday start, just like football. But no, I'm stoked to be here with you this Monday morning, and it was a good football Sunday we had in the bag. Your Steelers got a win, like we touched on with Juice a little earlier, and just looking forward to getting into everything hockey with you and seeing what's going on in the Shredding Sassy world. I know you guys got a raffle going on right now. Bob Burnquist board is up. Today be the last day, I think. Only a few hours left today to get in on that raffle. So everybody go over, check that out. A beautiful signed Bob Burnquist deck from the Burn Kit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's at market.shreddingsassy.com. So if you do watch this before 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, or today, I guess that's Monday, you can go ahead and jump in and get in on that raffle. But TKB, man, I'm digging the name of this. I'm digging the name. You came up with it on your own. I know we bounced some ideas back and forth, but Talkin Twig, dude, that's killer.
I mean, I think we were originally just going to be like talking hockey, but we maybe not so much this week, but we'll have a lot of skateboarding, a lot of snowboarding stuff. And I was like, they're all kind of a twig. They're all made of wood. So
for sure.
Maybe a little segue off of Spit and Chicklets. We're talking Twig. We got a new updated name. So I'd love to see it.
That's perfect, man. Perfect name. Perfect time of year. I think everybody's excited. I think a lot of teams, are retooling. There were a lot of moving pieces this offseason. And I'm excited to get into it a little bit with you today and as we move into this coming NHL season.
Nice. Well, yeah, and I know a lot of excitement for the show. It might start off a little bit not as exciting, but lost a legend in the hockey world with the passing of Johnny Gaudreau, the young guy taken far too early at the young age of 31. But He's was a staple in Calgary. That's why I got the Calgary Flames jersey on today. So I think I told the story before on the show actually, but I was at the only game that Yager scored a goal, and so I got the Yager jerseys for me and my dad as kind of a momentum of the game of. Yager got his first goal in Calgary. It ended up being his only goal in Calgary, and I didn't even realize until I seen Yager posted on social media. But that only goal he ever got was actually assisted by Johnny Gaudreau. So kind of, sad, but an intriguing thing. It just kind of, goes to show he was always there for his teammates, always setting them up, and just an electric player in Calgary. One of the best. He spent, I think, 8-9 years in Calgary, something like that, 2013 to 2022. So about 9 years in Calgary, and he was the backbone of that team for a long time. So sad to see him pass, him and his brother tragically in a biking accident, run over by what seems like a drunk driver. And I think we got to start bringing back stronger penalties to people. It doesn't matter what country, if it's Canada, the States, people just get away with these crimes that they're truly crimes. If you're drinking and driving, that's murder.
Agree. Yeah. And let's not focus on that. Let's not focus on the driver and what he did. Let's focus on Johnny and his life, and Matthew and his life, and kind of celebrating them going on. Johnny Hockey, man. I remember when he came into the league. I remember the name. And then I remember going to the games and with my kids, right? And I'm at the Stars watching, and I'm telling my kids, this guy's going to score. If anybody's scoring against the Stars, it's Johnny Hockey. It's Johnny Gaudreau. Watch him touch the puck. Watch how fast he is. Watch how he weaves in and out of the defenders. Just such an impressive hockey player in the 2021 Game 7 against the Stars, man. Game-winning goal in overtime. Johnny Hockey scores it. He was that type of player that if you were on the opposing team or a fan of the opposing team, anytime he touched the puck, you were like, shit. There's like a few of those players. There's McDavid, there's Draisaitl, there's Crosby. There's a few of those players that kind of just give you that feeling. I'm sure Bedsy will be there as well. I know that I had that feeling anytime Gaudreau touched the puck, and just a horrible loss. And it's been really cool to see Calgary, the NHL, Columbus, and everybody just celebrate his life. Obviously BU and all of those guys.
Yeah, just an amazing life and career. I mean, the biggest thing you see everybody take from it is just that he was a good friend. He was always there for everybody. 11 years in the NHL, like we said, 9 of them with Calgary, 7 All-Star game appearances, just a perennial great player on and off the ice year after year.
Did you see the All-Star game? I don't remember which one it was, when somebody brought out a little kid to somebody brought out somebody else's son to shoot the puck in the shootout. And who was it? I don't remember. Somebody like kind of mimicked that and had Johnny be.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Oh man, what a character.
He was always that player that I think gave a lot of small players hope, right? Like he was the small guy that made the NHL that everybody said wouldn't make it. And, he did, and he excelled as one of the better players in the league for many years.
It's funny, I still think of him as like a rookie, right? Not a rookie, but just he was still a young player. And you have these guys come into the league now, like Cole Caulfield, in Montreal, saying this guy was my hero. This guy made it possible for me to come into the league, or made me believe in myself enough to come in and be successful. So, rest in peace, Johnny Gaudreau, and you'll be missed for sure.
Absolutely. Great words. And yeah, we wish his family and everybody the best, of his wife and kids, and as well as his brother, Matthew, and just young players taken far too soon. So you never know, right? So go spend the time with your loved ones, reach out to them, say hi to them, and just try to be present, because you never know when you won't be.
Exactly.
Another player that will be missed, but missed in a different way, Mark Staal. He joins his brother Eric in retirement. Obviously, 17 years, a big, lengthy career in the NHL for him, and see him hang the skates up. There's only one of the Staal brothers left in the NHL now, but we got 2 of them done for the career, long, healthy careers for the most part, and get to go out on their own terms. He was selected 12th overall in 2005. So 17 years or so in the NHL, 18 years, which is a lengthy career. So, congrats to him on everything he accomplished in that time.
Yeah, I love Mark Staal, man. Love all the Staal brothers. I guess in retirement, he is taking a job as in talent development at the Rangers. So glad he's sticking around New York. That's where I remember him. That's where I'll always remember him. Him with the big red beard, running down the ice. Obviously, a defender for the Rangers, and just just a big body out there, clearing the front of the net, doing his thing, blocking shots. He's a great player.
6 most all-time games in New York Rangers history, 892 games with the Rangers. Just a lengthy stint with them, and then a few years playing with a couple other teams. The Wings, obviously the best organization in all of hockey, and the Florida Panthers most recently.
How cool is it? I know it's happened several times, 3 brothers in the NHL, but just Eric, Mark, and Jordan all kind of playing in the East together. Jordan started in Pittsburgh, Eric in Carolina, and Mark in New York, and playing each other. It's just a cool story. Eric was so electric when he first came into the league, and they all played such a different style. I think they're Thunder Bay.
Yeah, I think Ontario kids. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, just really cool. Shout out to Mark Staal, amazing career, and can't wait to see what he develops.
234 career points, I think 53 goals, 181 assists in 1,136 total games. So this is a great career for him.
Absolutely. Now that we got the timer hitting us now. Now that I'm thinking about it,
baby.
We didn't even get to talk about Pavelski's retirement. Man, another legend, kind of moving on from the same era as Mark Staal. But again, this is about Mark Staal today. Best of luck in retirement, and go get you some, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, go enjoy life post hockey. I mean, 17 years is a big stint. So congrats to him and his family.
Look at that. Perfect.
Right on time. We're dialed in. Now we'll jump into the Jeremy Swayman contract. Obviously, things going a little awry, one might say, over in Boston. They had Allmark and Swayman going for the last couple of years, 2 of the best goalies in the league, the best for sure tandem in the league in the NHL. And they let Allmark go last year at the end of the year. They keep Swayman on. But now there's talks that, and again, Schultz, our people, we got the namesake inspiration from Spit and Chicklets. They were talking about it quite a bit. Interesting to see where their takes on it. But I mean, Ryan Whitney's absolutely right. It's kind of crazy you are keeping him as your only goalie, and you're offering them like a pretty small contract to be your number one guy, 4 years, $6.2 million. Not a lot of in-time insurance on that contract. I'm curious to see your thoughts on that. What do you think is going on there in Boston?
Yeah, rumor on the street is, Swayman was shooting for the stars. He wanted like 10 mil a year, and obviously that's a little high, but 7 to 8 is more, in line with his
the McAvoy contract. I think it was it 8 years, 7 mil or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's looking for time, and it sounds like the Boston is not prepared. Obviously, like you said, this Chicklets podcast, they said that, Boston had kind of left him on red, like you're checking your messages on your phone, leaving people on red, and they're not getting back to him.
When I hear that, and I'm the starting goalie for the team, what really comes to mind to me is like, and maybe we're just out here starting the controversy on the Bush League Sports, but maybe it was something said in the back where they're like, hey, we're going to keep you. We'll move on from Allmark, but we kind of want a bit of a deal for you. That's going to be the case. We want to build a good team. We lost Berger on to retirement. Some of the guys are getting older. We want to make sure we can keep this team going. A part of me wonders, was there maybe something like that went on the back end as to why they're like, wait a minute, like, what are you doing? Because it just seems a little crazy for them to offer him so little if he is the number one guy. I would think at least 6 years would be the contract. 4 years isn't a lot for a goalie nowadays, for the injuries they take, the amount of time they play. But a part of me just wonders, like, was there something like that going on? Because now he is kind of a piece of crap if he's he's fleecing them after they keep him. But who's to say? I'm just starting rumors here.
So he's got all the cards, right? He holds all the cards right now from that standpoint. I don't know. I just said that he holds all the cards, but Boston does as well. It's just it's an interesting time with him and Allmark. They were 1A and 1B for 2 years, and they swapped. I think one of them was A the year prior. Allmark was A the year prior, and then Swayman was 1A last year. So who knows what's going to happen? I'm hoping they lock him up.
Maybe he started these complaints after Askarov went to the San Jose Sharks. Maybe they could have had Askarov, but he screwed him, and now he's playing hardballs because maybe the cards weren't all in their favor until that point. You never know.
Oh, that was a quick one. I want to keep talking Swayman, but we got to move on. We got to keep this baby rolling.
Well, yeah, we're cutting ourselves off. We're getting about 3 minutes today because we started filming a little late. It's the first time we're filming the football and hockey show for anybody who's watching the full thing. You would have caught the football already. If not, if you're interested in football or fantasy football, I also do a football show in the morning. So we were kind of working through the motions, and we're testing out the new avenue this week. So a little bit of a kick in the arse, we would say, for the timeline this week. But one of the biggest newses of the week, I don't even know if newses is a word, but I said it. But the Edmonton Oilers lock up Leon Draisaitl 8 years with one of the biggest contracts in NHL history, making him one of the highest players in the league. What are your thoughts on Draisaitl 8 years to the Oilers? I mean, the band is staying together, I guess. Eh?
Oh my gosh. Are we starting the clock on this one, or do we get more time? Do I get more time here?
What do you mean? There we go.
Oh, okay, cool. I was like, you can give us all the time in the world here to talk about this.
No, it comes up, baby.
14 million. I mean, we were expecting 14 million. I think that everybody expected 14 million, but I don't think anybody expected 14 million at 8 years.
Yeah, 112 million.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Good for him. I mean, good for the league. I was looking at league revenue. League revenue was 16.8 billion last year, where the NBA league revenue was like 10.5 billion, right? So 40% more NBA. But then the NBA contracts, Jason Tatum gets a $60 million a year contract. Like, what's even happening, right? So
what did you say was the total for income?
So the revenue for the NBA is 10 billion. I think it was maybe 10.5 billion last year, and the NHL was I wrote it down somewhere, 6.8 maybe.
Okay, I thought you said 16 at first. I was like, wait,
no.
But yeah, so that's it. That's actually interesting because they've only had 4 billion more in revenue. The contracts are so much more massive. That's interesting because as far as I know, in NHL contracts, it's a 50-50 revenue share between owners and players. So that's intriguing to me.
Yeah, and we'll have to dive into it more on later shows, but I thought it's kind of interesting of how it flows out. For me, as seeing a hockey contract at 14 million, I'm like, oh my God. But then you're seeing this Dak Prescott contract come out today at 60 million a year for 4 years. The NHLers are getting paid pennies, right?
Yeah, well, because some of the comparables, like you said, Dak Prescott or Love, Lamar Jackson, they're 4 or 5 year contracts, 220 mil, 260 mil respectively. And then, Jason Tatum, or another big one is Jaylen Brown. I know when I got to sit down with Snoop a couple weeks ago, that was his cousin. So he was giving him some shout outs, which is pretty cool. But Jaylen Brown, 5 years, 300 million. Tatum, 5 years, 314 million. And you're like, wow, it's 3 times the money with 2 or 3 less years. It's not even comparable. Or you get into baseball, Mike Trout, 12 years at 426 million. And then Shohei Ohtani with the biggest contract in all of sports, 10-year, 700 million. Don't know how much that him and his assistant will gamble away on their own games, but crazy to see.
Oh my goodness. And I wanted to look up what the baseball revenue was because I don't think it's
got to be through the roof crazy. And maybe there's something to selling tickets for cheaper or something. Because it's way cheaper to go to a baseball game, but somehow I guess they play 180 games too, but the revenue is through the roof in baseball.
So what do you think is going to happen with Connor in 2 years? Is it 2 years where he's coming up due for a contract?
Well, I mean he's going to be getting paid more than him, I think, but I also think he's a guy that really wants a cup. He'll be willing to take a Crosby-like deal for the hometown. Just crazy to see that I guess the band is staying in Edmonton for the foreseeable future, because I don't think Connor wants to break up with Leon. They're pretty electric together.
I know, I agree, and I'm excited to jump into this coming up here where we start to talk a little fantasy.
Yeah, I love it, and obviously we'll jump right out of that, right into our rankings. I want to get everybody dialed in for the fantasy season coming up. We do a lot of football talk, especially on the football show, and we have our fantasy football tournament that's ongoing right now. Obviously, Shredding Sassy is involved in it. You guys are playing Vayner Sports this week in week 1. We're up against the Accutars in week 1, and then Bam Bam's Fitness and of course, Not Okay Bears battling out. We got 6 communities in that tournament, but we want to really set ourselves apart and talk a little hockey. Not a lot of shows are doing hockey stuff. A lot of people always kind of wondering who they should be going after, and I'll break that down. It's usually pretty obvious who the first guys are in a show next week or week after. We'll kind of break down who are some of the later guys to keep and go after. But I want to go into left wings and who I think are the top 5 overall keepers going into this season. If we take a look here, we got some of the stats from Yahoo Sports. So this will give you guys the breakdown on the top players in the NHL as of last year's stats and where they project this year. You'll see overall ranking with Leon Draisaitl at 5, Forsberg 7, 8, 13, 19. That's where they have them ranked. And for myself, I have the rankings a slight bit different. I got Draisaitl number 1 overall for myself. You see that big season he had last year, 41, 65, just an infinite amount of points coming off of that guy's just never ending. But he, to me, is the number 1 left wing in the league. He's over 100 points. He's on that line with McDavid. There's power play points through the roof as well. He got 39 power play points on the season, 200 some shots, and 826 faceoffs. And the way we look at these stats, I'll just pop it up again for a second, is in most of our leagues, we do all stats. So this one is goals, assists, plus minus is that 26 in green, and then you'll get penalty minutes, power play points, and then on the far side, the number of face-off wins and hits and blocks, etc. So 826 face-off wins is also massive when you get a winger that's taking that many draws. It's big for your team, and it gives you a lot of extra points when you can hit that extra category. So to me, Leon Draisaitl is far and away, without question, number 1 left wing that we want to be keeping in any league this year.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't aware that face-off wins was a stat.
And some leagues don't run them, but I do in our hockey league. We kind of I try to run it like it's a full hockey team. So blocks count, hits count. We try to make like a little bit of everything matter. And so you'll see how that impacts the way I like to look at keeping defensemen and stuff too, because you really want those later stats. And in a league where face-off wins count, having a winger that has that eligibility and a guy like him winning over 800 more than a lot of just straight centermans win in a season, it's massive. So to me, obviously, if your stats are a little different, that might vary a bit, but I really think that he's a number 1 left wing no matter what stats you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'll tell you who I'm excited about this year on the left side. I'm excited to see what Kirill Kaprizov does again. I know that he had a down year last year. Minnesota did overall, but he is an electric player, and it'll be interesting to see him come back, as well as Jason Robertson. I think they both were running for the Rookie of the Year a couple years ago. Jason.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I kept Kaprizov just off my top 5. He didn't quite make it for me, but he is definitely an electric player.
Yeah, he is. And then Robo 2 years ago was, the first half of the season was, in the top 2 or 3 for points, and then kind of tailed off at the end of the year. Last year, 82 games, played every single game, 80 points, not as high as he was, but he's on a team where they get a very balanced scoring. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another breakout year at a Jason Robertson next year.
That's fair. That's fair. You get to sneak in your random plug for the Stars out of nowhere, but I love it.
I got another one coming.
And then I don't know. Can you see the list over on the side there of the top 5? I'll take the next one. You can have the one after that. But my number 2 left.
I can't see it. Sorry,
it's in Discord. My number 2 winger, Brady Tkachuk, is our guy there. We're running out of time talking about guys that aren't in the top 5, but Brady Tkachuk, big guy with the big win there. Just massive amounts of hits coming out of this guy, all kinds of different stat lines that he hits. So that's why I put him number 2 ahead of Forsberg. Personally, just that big number of hits and that big number of, every stat line he puts up is huge, but getting those hits, getting a guy who's going to win, 200, 300 faceoffs is also super beneficial. And just a pure grinder to me, number 2 guy on my list, just because he hits a few more of those other categories than someone like Philip Forsberg does, even though they have him ranked a little higher. I personally like Brady Tkachuk as the number 2 overall keeper for left wing. And I don't know if you want to get in number 3.
All right. So the number 3 overall,
go ahead.
Who do you have up number 3 overall? Do you have Matthew Tkachuk? I'm sorry, man. I'm jumping into Discord right now.
Okay, never mind. I'll keep it rolling.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't have it up.
Peterson, number 3, my guy there in Vancouver. They're obviously quite electric and nonstop. Sturdy team the last few years with JT Miller on the squad and a few other guys. But Elias Pettersson having a good year, 34 goals, 55 assists last year. He's a plus player. And again, a lot of face-offs and hitting those back-end categories as well. So he's a guy that kind of plays full circle and is a great left winger to round out any team. And then they have Philip Forsberg, number 2. I got him in the number 4 slot for us here. And we'll take an extra minute. We didn't quite get through it. We got through a bunch of Dallas Stars. We don't know about those guys. But Philip Forsberg is an electric player and been standalone. I think we're going to see a better year out of Nashville this year than we've seen last year. I think they did good, but they had a bit of a down year, I think, for what our expectations are for them. And I think we'll see Philip Forsberg come in as the number 4 fantasy keeper for hockey. And then
Nashville's got the stronger team this year. The bringing in Stamkos, bringing in who else did Nashville bring?
Saros, I can't remember.
Marchessault.
Oh yeah, Marchessault out of the Knights. He's been a solid player. And then my last left wing to round out the top 5 is actually the other Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, is rounding out my top 5 for the same reason as Brady's on there. Hitting all those categories, likes to hit, likes to throw the body a little bit. That's important in a full stats league. And he's a guy that just comes out every night and plays hard. So that Tkachuk brothers rounding out left wing for me in that position. The one Tkachuk brother is center eligible. The other one's both left wing, right wing. I just kind of rank them where I see them play the most. And because they're not really breaking that 400 face-off mark for me, I threw them in as the wingers.
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't that be the value choice if they're playing a lot of centers to throw them in as a wing?
Yeah, definitely. That's the way I like to play it. And Brady Tkachuk gives you that option. Matthew Tkachuk, not so much, but regardless, still a stud. Moving on to centers, top 5 centers. I'm curious to see who you think should be number 1. We look at the list here of who they got in the top. They actually have Connor McDavid sitting at number 6 overall in the list behind a few guys. I'm curious to know your thoughts on who's number 1 for you.
Yeah, so I love Nathan MacKinnon as number 1 here. The guy is just a grinder. He's such a hard player out there, hard nose. He's always on the puck, always in the right spots. He's not afraid to get dirty in the corners. He puts hits on. He puts his body on people. So I do like MacKinnon in the number 1 spot. However, I'd be interested to see kind of points on the year in fantasy. Is this setup based on MacKinnon's production last year? Is that why he's ranked number 1 here?
So this is just where they would rank him based off of whatever preseason rankings. I have it set to whatever preseason rankings that Yahoo is picking, but it shows the stats in every category we run in our leagues there. So to me, for the most part, it's going to break it down. If you look at last year's stats, when you go to Yahoo or whatever you're doing your NHL on, it's going to break it down depending on probably a standard league. So I guess the easiest way to explain it, going into the draft, it's probably going to rank players based off of where they are on the Yahoo rankings, because that's kind of what it goes off of, the Yahoo rankings. But once the season's rolling, for the most part, it's going to give you projections, give you everything based off of the stats that your league is in. So it's going to give a projection off of every stat, and the players that are going to hit the most are going to be the guys in your league. So for some leagues where maybe face-offs don't matter or et cetera, these could vary a bit, right? But this ranking is that the picture I popped up is just the Yahoo rankings. But for myself, I have a little different rankings than
who do you have number 1?
So personally, I still put MacKinnon as number 1. I want to have McDavid there, but MacKinnon is just that guy who is putting up all the stat lines. He's got more points overall. And just to me, the more well-rounded player, because he's getting more of the hits, more of those extra few stats. And so as much as you want to put Connor McDavid number one, I think for fantasy purposes, Nathan MacKinnon is actually the number one center to draft. And that will go hand in hand with Yahoo. Where we will vary is they have him down in 6, Connor McDavid. I put Connor McDavid as my second best center. He's the best player in the NHL. He's year after year. He hit 100 assists, same as Kucherov, who it will get to on the right wing rankings, but 100 assists for Connor McDavid, and just a perennial power play points. He gets a few penalty minutes. He actually throws the body more than you'd expect, 118 hits, a little more than almost any of the other guys that I have on that list. Nathan MacKinnon has half as many hits with 55 last year. But Connor McDavid's actually throwing the body, actually gets in there, wins 400-500 faceoffs, which is actually less than Leon Draisaitl. But he's going to be that guy that's going to get you 120, 130 points. Hard to not start a guy that's getting 1.4 points a night.
Interesting. And man, I'm learning here. This is really exciting because, my automatic assumption is McDavid would be number one. I mean, he's leading in points every year. He would just obviously be your first choice. But with that, I'm interested in Auston Matthews here. Auston Matthews is not a guy that I think of when I think of getting back and blocking shots in checking in those extra little pieces of the game. So is Auston Matthews still a high pick in fantasy?
Yeah, I have him in 4th for that reason you said is kind of why I don't have him in the top 3. I just view a couple of these other guys who are going to get more assists. Matthews, obviously 69 goals, great, but only 38 assists. So he ends the season with, 25 points less than McDavid. And he's decent at your hits and blocks category. He's around 90 for both, which keeps him up there in a high mark. But Auston Matthews landing on 4 for me with, he's still a good centerman, 700 wins. But 3, I had JT Miller at number 3 from Vancouver. He's center right wing eligible. But again, a guy who puts up 37, 66, around the same number of points, but he's got more face-off wins. He's got 217 hits, which is the biggest hits by far in anybody that I have in this top 4. And so to me, JT Miller ends just ahead of Matthews as the number 3 guy I would have in our keepers. And you'll be able to check that out on the blog on my website. I'll have the post of who I think is the top 5 in each of these. And then we round that out for the New York Rangers. Trocheck coming number 5, 5th best center, I think, this year in fantasy. And again, if you go over to Yahoo rankings, they have him sitting down at around 8 or so, 12th overall. But I just truly think he's ahead of a few of those guys like Aho and some of the guys we put on the left wing list, because he really is 800 faceoffs, 175 hits, 86 blocks. He's going to be hitting all those categories for you every week, which is important when it comes to fantasy.
Love it, man. Love it.
So right wing, if you can see the right wing list there, I'll let you take it away with who we got ranked number 1.
Yeah, I got it up right now. So looking at Yahoo's rankings, JT Miller showing ranking number 1 on the Yahoo site. However, you're looking at Sam Reinhart, and it looks like Sam is one that can roll center or right wing. Dumping him in at right wing makes sense. Why do you like him?
So that's Sam Reinhart. Again, he's going to be a big guy, almost 100 points, 57 goals, 37 assists last year. He's got 230 some shots on goal. So guys that are shooting the puck that much are definitely great. I think that JT Miller would probably be the better right winger, but I placed him in center. These guys that are getting around that 700-800 mark of faceoffs, I tend to mark them more as a centerman. I guess I didn't for Leon, but Leon, he plays the wing far more often when McDavid is on the ice. He's the center. But for the most part, these guys that are getting 700-800 faceoffs, I thought better if they're dual, I moved them more into a center first role. But Sam Reinhart hits all the categories, 233 shots on goals, 234 faceoff wins. He gets some hits, he gets some blocks. Just a consistent player all around, and I think that's why you'll see me put him number 1 on the right wing, as well as Mikko Rantanen. I got number 2, Colorado, because Colorado's just, they're a stock team all around. You got McKinnon at 1 in center. Rantanen's playing on the same line or power play as him a lot, so that really affects the amount of points he can get. I think you see him with 40 power play points last season, which is quite a few, right? And same thing, 271 shots on goal. He's closer to that 300 mark, just a guy that's rifling it every night.
Yeah, I love that pick. I love everything about Colorado this year. Don't like them in the Central because obviously I like the Stars, but the Central is going to be a tough place this year. You got Tampa Bay, Kucherov coming in at number 3 on your list. Absolutely agree. Cooch is Cooch. He puts the puck in the net. He's got a strong team around him. Always has, always will. We got Jake Ensel coming in this year to kind of provide a little bit extra. I think Jake plays the left side, so on the wing, and the power play is going to be pretty tough, man. So I like Cooch at number 3 on your list.
Some people be like, well, why Kucherov 3? Like, he's 100 assists. Him and McDavid both 100 assists. I think that that almost takes away from the glory of McDavid doing it, because that's like literally someone else did it the same year. And I think that's like the 4th and 5th time only it's ever happened, and 2 guys get it in the same year. But the reason I got Kucherov at 3 is just those other categories. Again, he's big on shots. He's going to have 300 shots, but he doesn't play at any center at all, which, technically shouldn't impact you. But if you're playing in a face-offs league, or a league where face-offs matter at all, that stat is going to count. He gets none. And he doesn't really play the body. Only 45 hits, 35 blocks, which, again, that's fine, because the way I play my fantasy in a league like this is I really try to focus my hits and my blocks on my defensemen. So I really will overlook it a bit in these positions, because my defenseman, I'm going more for the back end stats when I do my fantasy hockey leagues. But I still, I'm going to lean to a guy like JT Miller or Sam Reinhart that are closer to 70, 80 hits and blocks, as opposed to a guy like Kucherov. So that's why I put him at 3. But 100 assists, just a legendary season for him last year. And if you got him, I mean, you're keeping him for sure.
Absolutely. And then rounding out the top 5 for you, you got Pasta from Boston and Nylander from Toronto, man. Let's talk a little bit about Pasta.
I mean, obviously Pasta is every year a perennial player. Last year, another year with almost 50 goals, 47 goals, 63 assists. He breaks that 110-point mark, and really the leader on that team. I mean, I know we got Marchand, he's wearing the C, but with Bergeron going away, I really think Pasternak is the best player on that team, and he's the guy leading the power play, leading everything. He does very well with almost 400 shots on goal. Absolute insanity. We just keep leveling up the amount of shots, but 380 shots, same thing. No, shies away from any blocks. He's only got 19. 70 hits. Even Connor McDavid hits more than Pasta does. But it's still just an absolutely electric player. You're going to expect big things from him and the Bruins this year. And as long as they got a goalie, they should be good. And then Nylander, again, almost 100 points, playing on a stacked Toronto team. And just, he's kind of a guy where one year I'm like, will he suck? Will he not? But I mean, I think we're going to expect some big things coming from Toronto again this year, and so I got William Nylander.
And then I really like your outside. I like Hyman in there. Is he just going to keep getting better and better? Probably. But somebody you don't have in your list that I just want to touch on real quick, if you don't mind, is Mitch Marner from Toronto. Mitch Marner, last year, he had a point streak last year that was absolutely insane. I don't even know how many games, but I was like, God, is this guy ever going to stop, assisting or putting the puck in the net? He played 69 games last year, had 85 points. I mean, that's a pretty good little run. So, I don't know if he's taken very many faceoffs. I think he plays mostly right wing. So we'll see what happens this year. And again, I'm excited to learn.
That's probably not a bad pick to have in there. I feel like Nylander was the better of the better of the Leafs players that's in that position. So to me, it just a little more sense to put him ahead, but you're not wrong. Marner did miss some games and still put up some pretty crazy points. But Hyman too is a guy that I was close on, but he's got 60 some goals or whatever last year, and he just lives off McDavid. I had him, McDavid, and Draisaitl in a league last year, and it was just every time they were playing, I was like, I get 5 points a night, basically.
Dude, Hyman's gonna keep doing it too. It's almost annoying, man. It's almost annoying because he's just gonna be in the right spot at the right time to put the puck in the net, and it's not luck. People talk smack. They say you're a bank board. They talk smack about Hyman. I talk smack about Hyman last year, but that guy's a gamer, man. He's a player.
Love it. Well, no, that rounds out our forwards top picks of left wing, center, right wing. If you want to check those out, just play it back. I'll pump out some clips on socials as well. But left wing, Draisaitl, Brady Tkachuk, Elias Pettersson, Philip Forsberg, Matthew Tkachuk rounding out the top 5. For center, we got Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, JT Miller, Austin Matthews, and Vincent Trocheck rounding up the top 5 at center for keepers. And then at right wing, Sam Reinhart, Mikko Rantanen, Nikita Kucherov, David Pasternak, and William Nylander rounding out the top 5 at right wing. So we move on to defensemen and who we think are the top 5 keepers according to Yahoo. It's Roman Josi, Bouchard, Cale Makar, Weegar, Adam Fox, Rasmus Dahlin. We'll see. I'm not much different from that. You got Quinn Hughes and Noah Dotson, Victor Hedman a little ways down. I'm really close to that, and a big reason is you see the way these stats are looking. If you look at that far end, you'll see what I'm talking about. Actually, Mackenzie Weegar's highlighted on that too. You'll see him with 194 hits, 200 blocks, same as Rasmus Dahlin down with almost 200. Those are big numbers and big things that'll carry your team if you draft the way I do, where you really try to get those stats out of your D-man and try to get offensive heavy forwards in your lineup. So to me, some of those D-men that hit those back end stats are going to be better performers and a reason why we might be picking them up a little higher. But to me, Roman Josi is the consensus number 1. He's one of the best D-men in the league. He got 85 points last year, which I think is close to the highest points in the league. We had a few other guys like Makar and Bouchard wavering around that same 80, 90 points. But Roman Josi, great player, one of the strongest teams. He'll probably have one of the best plus minus in the league if Saros is playing well this year and they're on top of their stuff. So a few less hits from him, but you're going to get close to 300 shots. And there could be an argument between Makar and Josi potentially, but to me, it's Josi.
Yeah, I can definitely see that looking at these stats. And I'm looking at these stats right now, and I know you kind of went through them all real quick. I'm going to talk about Darnell Nurse's stats real quick. That's pretty wild. 181 shots, 168 hits, 172 blocks. That's not bad. That's not, those don't look like bad numbers compared to the other D-men, where Nurse takes a lot of flack. Took a lot of flack last year. So
for sure. Just
very interesting.
Only 20 or 30 points, right? So that's why you'll see him way down the list as compared to some of the other guys. But
interesting.
But yeah, definitely stacking up those tail end points, which is why he'll be useful in a league like this. In a points only league, you're probably not even going to find Nurse on the radar getting only 30 points in the season. So these stats can be varying depending on what kind of league you're in. But I truly think leagues that encompass all of what makes a hockey game are a little funner to play. At number 2, Yahoo's got Evan Bouchard. I go with Cale Makar. Again, I think Makar, Josi, you could argue who would be 1. They're both up there. But Cale Makar playing again on one of the strongest teams. He's got that power play 1 on lock. It is 100% him. And if we get Landeskog and McKinnon, Rantanen, the whole squad healthy in Colorado this year, if Landeskog's back, that they're going to be electric yet again. And Makar is a guy that's putting up big numbers last year, 90 points as a D-man. 150 blocks still, maybe a few less hits, but still a big time player.
Yeah, love it, man. Love it.
And then Evan Bouchard, they have ranked ahead. I put him in 3rd. Same thing. He's got that power play 1 locked up for, I think, the foreseeable future. And when you're playing power play 1 minutes with McDavid and Draisaitl and guys like that, you're just assured points, almost guaranteed, just by being on the ice, touching the puck. You're going to be getting points. And Bouchard is a big player. He's got, he's their red beard. They're always running around, booze all the time. And
sure.
It's good to see him, finally find a home and get things done in Edmonton week after week. So good, consistent 220 shots. Same thing, a little less hits for D-men, only 71, but he over 100 blocks. So he's a good player, I think, to have fill up a team's back end.
And then you got Weegar coming in at 4th on both your list and Yahoo's list. Weegar putting up a lot of shots on goal, lots of hits, lots of blocks, and coming in with 50 points. So Weegar's
he's easily the highest scoring player to have that many hits and blocks. Again, only 50 points, so that's why he's below the other guys for me, but way ahead in hits and blocks. And I think, again, very important in a league that's encompassing all of that. So that's why Mackenzie Weegar gets the 4th spot. And then I rounded out with Rasmus Dahlin for, again, that same reason. That's why I put him a little bit ahead of Fox, who finished just outside the top 5 for me, because Rasmus Dahlin is putting up big numbers on those blocks and hits as well. And that's key to winning your fantasy matchup every week.
Dude, that's a good list of D, and looks like we're gonna jump over to the goalies, huh?
Yeah, we get to some tendies. Last year, you can see who finished in the top and where they're ranked this year. Connor Hellebuck, Sergei Bobrovsky, Thatcher Demko, who ended the season out, when a big reason Vancouver probably didn't get as far as we had hoped last year. But you see a lot of these guys playing 50, 60. One guy 60 for Connor Hellebuck. You'll see Yossi Saros down playing 64. But these guys that are playing 50, 60 games, those are your backbone of your team. Those are the guys that are playing every night, those workhorse goalies. A lot of them are playing on good teams. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not, but I think goalies need to play almost every night to get in the groove. And so you see guys that are playing that much and getting 30, 40 wins. Those are, to me, the guys we want to chase in fantasy, because it's just like a running back in football. The guys that are on a committee splitting half the games, you don't get as much opportunity. Opportunity leads to success, right? So these guys that are playing those 50, 60 games are going to take home the win for me. I personally put Bobrovsky at the number one spot, mostly just because you see it rolling across the bottom. Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions. I mean, Bobrovsky and Hellebuck both had great seasons, but I'm going to have to just give it to the guy who took his team all the way to the Stanley Cup and won it. So Bobrovsky, with 64 games or 60 games played, he had 37 wins, one more than Hellebuck last year. Pretty much equal save percentage, equal goals against average. So we'll see if Bob comes out hungry, or if he's like, I won the cup, I'm good. You're going to get one of two things coming out of players after a big win like that. Either they're hungry for more, or they're like living a little satisfied. You never know, right? But to me, Bobrovsky's the number one goalie to draft this year, which is a big fall from who Vasilevsky was, the number one guy for many, many years to draft in hockey, with Tampa being as electric as they were. He falls just outside for me. He's quite a ways down the list on Yahoo. I have him ranked a little higher than that, but either way, it's going to be interesting to see how these players do this year. But Bobrovsky, number one, Hellebuck to me, number two, with 58 games played, 36 wins last year. I think we can expect the same from him. Just, where's Winnipeg going? We'll be interested to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, coming down the line, you have Demko at number 3. As you said, injury last year. And I actually heard that rumors that he may be still injured now. I'm not really sure. I was listening somewhere the other day, I believe yesterday, and said that he may be still a little beaten up. So we'll see if he even starts the season for Vancouver. And if he's not getting those games played, is he still going to be a goalie that goes early and is pulling in those points? So
I just changed my mic. I don't know if it messed the audio. I just realized I was running off the wrong mic the whole time, but hopefully it didn't screw it up for you. But no, I mean, over the next week or two, if we hear that Demko isn't going to be starting for the team, I mean, I'm going to come back and change these rankings. I'm not going to rank a guy who wasn't playing.
Yeah, sure.
Top 3, but he was. I mean, he's the backbone of that team. 51 games played, 35 wins. So 7 and 9 games less respectively than Bob and Hellebuck, and pretty much the exact same wins, 1-2 wins. So I feel like if he would have played another 3, 4, 5 games, he actually would have been the win leader last year in the NHL. And so just, really want to see what Vancouver has in store for us this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who do you got next? Let me go back to
Shesterkin, I got in number 4 as my goalie, coming in the number 4 spot of the New York Rangers. Again, he's getting most of the starts for their team. 55 starts, came out with 36 wins. I think the Rangers are going to be another good team. So again, you want a team that's playing good. That goalie gets to keep playing if they keep winning. And his save percentage around 9-12, just a hair lower than Bob and Hellebuck, but again, up over that 9-10 mark, where the other 3 guys are just over that 9-15, 9-20 mark. But, one less shutout, but just a great overall goalie, consistent every night. And there's a reason they've made him the number 1 guy there.
And then you got Saros coming in at number 5 on your list. And what I love about all of these 5 is that each of these 5 are going to be in the running for goalie of the year next year, right? Without a doubt, Saros 64 games played, 35 wins last year. We can expect some more wins out of them this year with the new guys in town. So it'll be an interesting year, and I do really like Saros on this list for you.
Yeah, they have him way down in the Yahoo rankings, but to me, he played the most games played, 64 games. Like you said, they're going to get a few more wins. I think that's criminal to have him that far down the list. I think he's going to be a top 5 goalie, and And again, you see Askarov leaving the organization entirely. He's like, I'm not even going to play, which I think is a little crazy for the Nashville. Like, I think he should have been the backup. I think he should have been getting some NHL time behind Saros personally. And so I get where he comes from. He's the best prospect in the league. You don't even see a path to NHL time. So I get why he wants to leave. But to me, I think they're going to regret it. If you get a guy like UC that goes down, and not having Askarov, I think is going to kick them in the arse. But I mean, I think the kid had a bit of an ego too. So
yeah, he did. He did.
But I mean, but when you're that good, you're that good. I mean, what the hell?
So here we go. You got your runners up there with Swayman, Skinner, and Vasilevsky, as you said. You know, Swayman split a lot of games with Olmark, right? So Swayman is going to see a lot of games this year, and that'll move him up the list if everything goes well in Boston. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, as long as they can get those contract negotiations done we talked about earlier, and he actually plays, then
pay the man.
He
pay the man.
A lot of wins, a lot of games played. Skinner, same thing, 59 wins, 36 games played. I could have easily put him on that list again as well in almost any of those places, but I left him just off because I think that I don't know. I see a little maybe regression from Skinner. I think he played out of his mind this year in a lot of situations. I think Edmonton still has a little bit of work to button up that defense and play a little stronger in front of him and get him a few easier wins, because he really had to play to get those wins a lot of nights.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think Skinner and Edmonton this playoff season, you really saw what the guy was made out of. You know, he got a lot of hate in the Vancouver series, and then all of a sudden just owned the Stars in the Star series, and, you know, came back and was the difference maker in that 3-game run that Edmonton went on to force a game 7. So Stuart Skinner's, you know, looking like the solution at Edmonton at the goaltender position.
Nice, I love it. Well, no, that's a good breakdown. I hope everybody got a little bit of info they need out of it. Top 5 keepers in all positions. If you missed what we're chatting about, please play it back. We'll also get a few clips out on socials for you. But we're just here to try and dial in everybody, help them with their fantasy squad this year, kind of keep them updated on what's going on in the hockey world. I know next week we're going to get into a little more skateboarding and snowboarding stuff. I want to talk about my Olympic trip, going up there with Vayner Sports and getting to check out all the skateboarding events and such I did. I really want to get a deep dive into that journey with you and chat a little bit about that. He tells people some plans for some of the skateboard and snowboard events we plan to cover throughout the year, and then break down some of those later picks in fantasy. So next week, make sure everybody comes back, joins us again. We'll see what's going on. Probably not going to be a lot of breaking news in the NHL while we're still in the off season, but it's perfect time, I think, to get everybody dialed in for fantasy and maybe touch a little bit on skate and snow next week. So it'll be a little bit different show, but we'll still be talking twig, just a different kind of twig, perhaps, maybe a board or two.
Yeah, I love it, man. Winter is coming. The snowboard, the ski, and the hockey. So I'm really excited as we prepare, and we'll get to talk about some fun stuff here this season.
Nice, I love it. Well, as always, Trav, thank you for joining. If there's anything you guys got going over at Shredding Sassy, again, I know I mentioned it a little earlier. You guys got that skateboard raffle going on. Probably only a few more hours left to get in on that. So if everybody wants to head over to Shredding Sassy Social Club, check that out. That'll be awesome. Yeah. That Bob Burnquist deck. I got to see that when I was out in Auburn with you at the events in the fall there, and that's a beautiful deck. So someone's going to take home a sweet prize.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I got it somewhere in the room here. I don't know. It's over there. I don't want to get up and go get it right now, but really excited about everything we're doing over at Sassy. We're really trying to, build this brand around a social club of people that are just into getting out there, trying their best, learning how to shred and having some fun at the same time. So we got winter events kind of planned and coming down the pipe, and I know you and I will both be involved in them. And it's going to be a great season. So you see us out there, and we'll have some fun.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining, brother. We'll catch you next week. Appreciate your time as always.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tyrone. Have a good one.
You. Later, brother. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. As always, my host, TKB, my man Trav, just dialed in that beautiful, beautiful first show back of the season for us. So hopefully we were able to help you with all your fantasy lineups, and we look forward to chatting it again next week. So until then, stay bushy, you beauties. We'll see you next time.
half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. Tell them never question, dog, I'm sitting goat status. Eating chicken with my gin, smoking on some cabbage. Used to pedal on this
moment where you skate down the street and some shit for brains yells out of his window, "Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip!"
And house shoes, they know how the dog do. Skinny, heavy pockets, the West OG. Came across the globe, say they don't know me. Been applying pressure from 8 to 24 like Kobe. Mr. Hall of Fame used to bend the corners with strollies. Had to lay the blueprint, they rolled out the carpet. Anything I wanna own, I got my own market. Blew this, blew that, everything beautiful. Still ain't sold my guns and I still ain't had to use them though. Was once a hard head, now I'm counting blessings. I made my own way, still they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions.
This is some straight, hey.
This is, oh gosh.
I got thin to smoke it.
Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. I can't name a thing that I didn't have step. From the streets to movie screens, been getting bags and checks. Kept it solid, you won't hear me with no bad rep. Legendary crippin' made it happen, and that's on the set. Still rolling on gold things, I'm a boss. Go get it, what the fuck you waiting on, man? Let's go.
Blaming on my mom from all the crippin' I see. Blaming on my grandpa, all the hustling.
Yes, sir.